All right, let's talk about dating. The fun, soul-crushing, endlessly confusing circus act that we all somehow keep signing up for. You ever start talking to someone and think, hey, this might actually go somewhere, only for them to disappear like a magician's assistant? Or maybe you've been on a date where halfway through your brain goes, is this really the best I can do? Should I keep looking? And before you know it, you're spiraling, convinced you'll die alone, surrounded by your collection of increasingly weird Amazon purchases. Do you really need a USB-powered popcorn machine? But what if I told you that science, yes, actual, real, boring, nerdy science, has figured out the optimal way to find your ideal partner? No more blind guessing, no more overthinking, just cold, hard math, telling you exactly when to stop searching and commit. Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, strap in because we're about to break it down. Meet Jordan, or don't. Jordan probably won't text you back. Jordan is 23, which means they are legally an adult, but spiritually a mess. Between work, school, and doom scrolling at 2 a.m., Jordan is also trying to find love, or at least someone who texts first once in a while. They've got dating apps, a roster of questionable situationships, and an overactive imagination that convinces them every barista is secretly flirting. Jordan wants something real, but the problem? Too many choices, too little patience. And Jordan isn't alone. Dating today is like being dropped into a giant chaotic buffet. Your grandparents met at work, church, or because their parents shoved them in a room together and said, figure it out. They had limited options, which meant less overthinking. But now, you have Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Instagram DMs, LinkedIn, if you're that desperate, and roughly 8 million people who might be your soulmate. Except, weirdly, it's harder than ever to pick someone. The paradox of choice. Why too many options make you miserable? Ever spend an hour scrolling Netflix, only to give up and rewatch the same comfort show again? That's the paradox of choice. More options don't mean better choices. They just make it harder to decide. Dating is no different. When you have infinite potential matches, you're constantly thinking, sure, this person is great, but what if there's someone better? And boom, now you're stuck in an endless loop of maybe instead of actually making a decision. Jordan is deep in this cycle. They swipe, they chat, they meet people, but every time they start to like someone, a little voice whispers, what if the next one is even better? So they keep swiping and swiping and swiping until one day they look up and realize they've wasted hours collecting matches like Pokemon, but still have no idea what they actually want. Enter the 37% rule, math's attempt to fix your love life. All right, let's science this. There's an actual mathematical formula called optimal stopping theory, also known as the secretary problem, because apparently mathematicians were really into hiring assistants back in the day. This formula is designed to help you make the best possible choice when faced with too many options. Here's how it works. 1. You dedicate the first 37% of your dating time to gathering data. 2. During this period, you don't commit to anyone, no matter how amazing they seem. You're learning, figuring out what you want, and setting a baseline. 3. After that 37% mark, the first person you meet who is better than all your previous dates. That's your best bet. Sounds weird, right? But mathematically, it gives you the highest probability of finding the best partner. How to actually use this rule without ruining your life. Let's say Jordan wants to settle down by 35 and starts dating seriously at 20. That gives them a 15-year window. 37% of 15 years is 5.5 years. So, Jordan should spend the first 5.5 years exploring, dating, and definitely not settling down too soon. After that, the first person who's better than all previous partners, that's the one. Of course, real life isn't a neatly arranged math equation. People don't show up in perfect order, and sometimes this rule can absolutely backfire. What if you meet someone incredible in year 2? Oops, too bad, gotta reject them. But what if you hold out and only date train wrecks? Now you're at the 37% mark, and your best option is the least emotionally unavailable one. Yikes. And let's be honest, try explaining this strategy to someone you're dating. I really like you, but I'm only at 32%, so check back in 2 years. Yeah, that's definitely going to go well. So, does math actually know how to find love? Not really. Love isn't an equation, it's luck, timing, chemistry, and occasionally making terrible, irrational choices that somehow work out. The real lesson of the 37% rule isn't follow this exactly or die alone. It's about making sure you don't settle too soon or hold out forever, waiting for some mythical perfect person. The biggest dating mistake? Swiping forever and never actually choosing. Because let's be real, if you're spending 6 hours a day on dating apps but refuse to commit, because what if there's someone better? You might just end up alone, surrounded by your ever-growing collection of unread self-help books. So, what do you think? Would you trust math to find your perfect match? Or are you just going to keep swiping until your thumbs give out? Let me know in the comments. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button, because unlike your situationships, I won't ghost you. See you next time.